So there's this guy who does really good builds. His name is Vadact, I think. He asked us to do three kinds of builds, and one of them is Victorian. And I chose a carriage house. These are real carriage houses, past and present. It's where you store your carriages and your horses and the stuff you need for that stuff. They're always smaller than the main house. These days, like in Kentucky, you can rent just a carriage house. I know one that's a very nice cocktail lounge, as a matter of fact. Detail of the doors, so I don't have to feel too bad that I use three doors, because it doesn't look like that looks like garage doors, but that looks like barn doors. I could not figure out how to do that. I thought it'd be really cool to do that with redstone, but I really didn't have the room. So this is my attempt. Here's the plot of ground he gave us with three challenges. We have to do a modern build, a Victorian build, and a build of our choice. I've done the modern build. You'll see it in the background. The yellow patch there is where I haven't built the one of my choice. Actually, the modern one is the one of my choice. I'll show it to you later. So this is my Victorian carriage house. It's done in jungle wood because that's pinkish. Nether brick because that's reddish. Actually, it has a slightly blue cast to it, or is that right? And brick, which is pinkish. And then I use spruce because it actually has a green hue to it. It's the darkest wood. I used it for beams, and I like the green contrast, kinda. So that yellow patch I haven't done yet. Behind the carriage house I have. This is a Surrey. You'll probably be singing Surrey with the Prince on top if you're old enough to remember what that is. Surrey is for like going to church, going to meetings, going out socializing. It's very seldom ridden for things like chores. You see, you can take the whole family in it. I put a storage box on the back of mine, which isn't exactly authentic. That's part stagecoach. But for the spokes, I used cobwebs. For the headlights, I used beacons. Some really did have flower pots on them. The fringe is made out of iron set and item frames, and it didn't show because I've got such bad frame rate on the video, but there are item frames on the back with redstone dust in them to show the backlights. Now this is all the mobs that exist in this game. A few horses, donkey. Next door there's one cat and one dog, and these testificates, and it's you can't even. I had these chests open for a while so you could see the contents. This is the stuff that you need in the smithy. There was a blacksmith hanging out over here. I don't know what I put in there that the blacksmith liked, but something. I don't know if it was the anvil or I don't know, but there was a smith over here. Here's my buckboard. I put a cover on it because, well, I live where it's hot. So a cover for the driver. I didn't put the footboard on the front because, well, really I couldn't. You can put sides up on them, and obviously you can make them into covered wagons. I just use fence posts. You see that handle there is for the brake, so I used a lever for the brake. Mine has tail lights made out of redstone torches, wheel spokes made out of ender eyes and item frames. Let's see. The horses were named left and right. I really did record it long enough that you should have been able to see that. Next to the buckboard, which is hauling a load of hay, we have the racing buggy. These come by several different names. I just put racing buggy into the search engine so I could get some image results. I should have actually two things, one on each side, but of course, as you know, fences will join together, so I just put one in the middle. Oh, and I also used a little bit of red clay. I forgot. The horses are named Skullbuster because that one kept throwing me off and I kept getting my head stuck in the top block. This one's called Itty Bitty because she was a baby when she came in and she grew on her own. Hee haw because I'm not feeling very imaginative. The donkey is wearing saddlebags. And get out of the way, villager. The villagers like the horses. They do. They hang out with them. There's stuff for the horses and donkey. And these two are named right and left. They're almost identical. One's kind of brown and one's kind of red with white spots. The ones that are going to pull the hay wagon. Now we're on the second floor in the hay loft. You see how I made these windows with stairs, some upside down, some right side up with iron over them. Now this is storage. This is some of the only chests I didn't fill because look how many of them there are. But this is the home of very rich people, obviously, because the carriage house is very large and very elaborate. And they have a lot of stuff they don't really need, and a lot of stuff is stored. I put villagers on every floor, even outside, and I couldn't show it to you because my frame rate's so bad, but I pushed a bunch of them down the ladders. This is where the stable person would live in abject poverty. The book is a journal that says that the person had to steal food or they wouldn't be able to survive, that it's very cold in the winter because there's no glass on those staircase windows, and in the summer, even though there's a breeze through there, the roof is so hot. So this person is planning their escape. And that's the person who's responsible for all the horses and um, all the carriages and buggies and, all the tack and saddles and everything has to live way up there all alone without much of nothing. So yeah, back in the storage attic. And the person doesn't even really have a very good view because between the iron bars and those brick stairs, there's not much of a view out. So at the end of a grueling, hard day, because it's, kind of cold in here too, or kind of hot in here too. You can open the doors in the summer, but still. And always the noise and the stench of the animals. So I had the testificates come just so they could inspect the place and tell me whether they approved. I'm very proud of my Surrey. And heart-shaped windows because this is obviously the carriage house of a woman who's married to a very wealthy man and who cares a great deal about horses and the fact that they have beauty, but doesn't really care about the people who work for her. Oh, I should tell you those cobblestone and moss stone wall pieces are chimneys, and the cobwebs are the smoke coming out from both the livery, the blacksmith area, and from the second and third stories. The stable person's place is heated if that person can steal enough coal. The second floor is heated because they wanted environmental protection for all their junk. In fact, it's better heated than the stable person's place. That's why the stable person had to steal coal. Very disappointed in the frame rate. The mobs were moving extremely quickly. Extremely quickly. It doesn't show up in the video because my frame rate's so bad. I don't know if you watched UHC on Minecraft, but they were having the same problem. Don't know what's going on. 1.6.2.